Okay, obviously we're pleased with our first win. There's a number of areas that we have to improve in. I think everybody's aware of those areas. We had those discussions already, and so we'll be back into Texas San Antonio today and back on the field at practice on Tuesday. Continue to work to get better. We've got a ways to go, but I was pleased with the results from Saturday, and looking forward to getting back out there this week and trying to find a way to get better.
In addition to Larry Coker being your coach, was he also the guy who recruited you to Oklahoma State? Or was that
Lewis Campbell
Okay.
recruited me. At that time, coaches had more geographical areas than now is position specific.
What's your best Larry Coker stories?
Oh, we've had so many of them, spent so much time with them. But I've always enjoyed Coach. I think he's a very intelligent football coach, and he's a great person. He's got great people skills. And it's no surprise of the success he's had there in such a short time. But I remember spending time with him in position meetings, and as a player, I enjoyed his approach with certain plays in that if they do this and we need to do that, and it's pretty simple. And he kept the game simple, and it wasn't very complicated, and as a player, I enjoyed that part of it.
Is there some of that in you right now?
I think so. No, I don't think it's a question that you guys have been around me, and I want to be simple. I want the players to be able to play fast and have fun, and I would say there's some of that that's been instilled in me throughout my career.
Mike, it looked like, just watching the television copy, it looked like J.W. came in and was making the right reads with his throws, was obviously making the right reads with his runs. Did that keep him on the field as much as anything? Early on, I'm talking, late first quarter, early second quarter, when you guys still weren't in the end zone, he was making the right plays.
Well, I don't know. I guess I'm trying to understand your question. You're saying when he was playing and we still weren't scoring?
Yeah.
I think he just brought a spark to our team. And, I have to make that decision. The offensive coaches have to make that decision. That's what they pay us to do. And I felt like that there was a lift when he came in for whatever reason. And the first time or two, we weren't as successful as we wanted, but we had opportunities. There was a part of the scheme that we could see where it should have happened. And I said this after the game, it played to his hand a little bit because the schemes that we used were new. Similar to several years ago against Washington State when we brought out the diamond formation now that everybody's using. That was new. Washington State hadn't seen it. And those schemes that he was running, I'm not sure that they had prepared for that. I can't speak for them. And so it played to his hand, and we felt like we had an advantage in that area.
Was it as simple as I think there's a lot of maybe fan talk or media speculation right now that Clint made a couple of bad throws? Was it as simple as that, or was it he wasn't going to the right player, he wasn't playing with the right level of intensity, or
What meaning simple, like what? What do you...
Well, he made, I guess, 3 bad throws.
Correct.
Is that why he was taken out?
No, we were going to play J.W. in the third series.
Right. But he never went back in. He was
Well, because we started to see results from what J.W. was giving us. And at that point, when you're playing a team that has the capability of beating us, we needed to stay with what we thought gave us the best chance to win the game.
Mike, I don't know what you call it, but the tray, I call it the tray read option that you said was a new scheme that they probably hadn't worked on. What's for your guys, where did that derive from? And when did you first start to install it and look at it?
Well, Coach Yursich brought that with him, and he's had a background in it, and so they worked it in the spring and it spent some more time on it this summer, and we felt like that it could give us an advantage in the first game in playing an opponent where we needed a slight edge.
You're an offensive guy, but is it exciting for you that people are talking about Oklahoma State's defense today?
Well, no question, and deservedly so. It's interesting, the response that I get on text messaging from family or friends that, and kind of my general response was it's okay to win on defense every once in a while. I mean, it's going to be all right. When you don't play as well, everybody talks about you can't win in the long run because you're not performing on defense. And when you play well, then how come the offense wasn't doing any good? And I guess that's just the way it is. And we certainly felt the same way. We didn't play very good on offense, and we need to get a lot better. We're just an average offense right now. We've got areas that we need to improve in, specifically scheme-wise and our production. Some of our production was limited by penalties. And we have to eliminate those penalties, and we would have performed better and scored more points.
There's a lot of speculation about the defense going into the season, but you never know until you see them, like we talked about last week. You know now?
I don't know that I'm not sure that we know. I've always had concerns going into the first game because of players that have to play that haven't played previously in big games. We could go down the list. We had 2 out of the 5 linemen playing that really haven't played in big games, so there's some concern there. JW played in 6 games last year, 5. I mean, I don't know, but either way, that's not very much. So I had concerns with him. Clint played in 4? Something. Concerns there. Same thing on the defense side of the ball. So we'll know more in a month about who we are, the direction we're going, and really what kind of a football team that we can be, and we have to stay healthy. We have some areas that we have some depth, and then we have other areas that we're thin. And if one of those guys gets banged up, we have to put a player in that doesn't have any experience and may not be ready to play at this level. I'm not saying that everybody else in the country doesn't have that issue. I'm just saying that we do have that issue, and those are things that are concerns early in the season.
You've always been good about letting your coaches coach, and I know that the catchword has been aggressive for this defense, but the other part of it is they're letting their play talk. You talk to the kids, you talk to Glenn. It's one game. They don't want to talk like they've made it and the defense is a finished product. They talk about, hey, we'll let it speak each week. How refreshing is that to you to hear those players adopt that concept?
Well, we try to instill in them from the day they get here in saying the right things in a team concept, but it has to be displayed and starts with the coaching staff. And we have to think that way, and that's the way we have to react. And we think in turn, they will act and respond the same way we do and take on our attitude and our approach. They've got things they need to work on also. We didn't tackle very well at times in the secondary, which is an issue that we have in our style of practice. Okay? Traditionally, that gets better as the season goes on because they play more games. There's more active tackling for those guys at the second level. In the interior box, they're a little better because we do have inside drills in practice, and even though it's not live, guys go on the ground because you can't stop it. You got 7-on-7, there's 14 guys piled up in there, something's going to happen. So we need to improve in those areas. We need to get make some improvement in our early first quarter pass rush. We weren't getting to the quarterback. So they did a great job. They got a long ways to go. And one game is one game, just like what you said. A month from now, we'll see where we stand as a team and they stand as a group offensively and defensively and special teams.
You talked about the game Saturday and even the arrival Friday being a lot like a bowl game, which is unusual for an opener. You walk into a situation this week where this is a coming out party for their program. First BCS team for them to host in a home game. How much does last week's revelry and atmosphere play out and maybe help in San Antonio?
Well, we hope the maturity of our team will come forth in practice this week. I thought that some of the big games that we had played in over the last 4 or 5 years here helped us in the game last Saturday. But we've been in this situation before where we've played teams that they're putting everything into this game. And so we have to be mature enough in our preparation and handle that responsibly in getting ready and go down and play the game the way we need to play. That was an interesting atmosphere in Houston. The Friday festivities at the hotel and a bowl game atmosphere, I guess, people, I don't know, I just know it was like a bowl game. And then when you get there, the stadium is half full at best. It was a little unusual. So the way the players responded, I was pleased with them staying focused on the task at hand, which was the game.
Mike,
Without getting too
JW
much-
came in third series. He was going to come in the third series, you said, I think.
That's correct.
Does it stand to reason that Clint's going to come in the third series?
No, JW's our quarterback now. Clint could play. I don't have a time frame for that. I'm not sure we ever will. But, I'd said before the game we were going to play both quarterbacks. And we're comfortable with the way that JW played, and we think he gives us the best opportunity now for success.
Big disappointment for Clint. How's he been the last couple of days?
Well, he's been fine at practice. Clint's a good guy. He's worked hard, and I couldn't say anything else other than I'm sure he's disappointed. We all want to be the starter, but it's the way it fell at this time, and we're glad he's a part of our program.
Mike, do you have some confidence in Clint because he's been there and done this, and he was prepared last year to take over when he needed to? So does that give you a measure of confidence?
It does. We have some inexperience at quarterback, but we also have some experience at backup, and it kind of goes both ways. But that's really the truth. That's the way it is. But he's been through this. The chips didn't fall in place for him at this time, but we make decisions. I listen to the coaching staff, and I either have reason to debate what they say and go into further conversation, or we move forward with the decision that's made, and that's what we do. Quarterback position is unique. You can't always play multiple guys, unlike receivers, running backs, DBs, linebackers. So there's a little more discussion about that particular position. But we're glad that he's here, and yes, from an experience standpoint, he is as a backup.
Is one of the areas schematically that you'd like to see improve, getting the ball down the field a little bit more? Throwing the ball downfield. Again, you guys have so many weapons at receiver, and I think Josh Stewart had 40 yards receiving.
Yeah, we couldn't really get on track through the first half run the football, and so that doesn't allow us to throw the football very well. I mean, that's really what we've had success with, and so there's a number of areas as an offense that we need to improve on, I should say, and that's one of them.
And you think that getting the ball down the field plus having J-Dub and his ability to run, those can kind of coexist and make
Should.
sense?
In most cases, defenses, safeties have to help in quarterback run. And if safeties help in quarterback run, it gives you a chance to throw it down the field.
Mike, were you surprised with the K-State loss?
Nothing surprises me anymore in college football. I've said that. I had a chance to watch some games, because there's more games on Friday and Thursday than there has been. So I found myself with availability to watch some games. And I think that the surprise would be somebody going in there and beating them at home was what most of us would think. But also it was a pretty good football team. They've had a history, two back-to-back championships, and Craig does a good job. He's got a history with Nebraska football, and obviously he's got a great pedigree there, and they've had success. And I watched off and on some of the second quarter, but when you have a quarterback that has the mental capability that young man does, and I don't know him from anybody, he could walk right by here right now, but his ability to make a play in crucial times can certainly benefit and make a really good college football team.
Now that I don't think you were a big proponent of playing Mississippi State in the opener, generally speaking. Now that game's behind you and it turned out favorably, seem like a good idea now?
No.
Still not?
I want to play here. I want to get 60-something thousand people in this stadium. I want it to be full, and I want to bring recruits in, and I want people to come in on Friday nights, and I want the restaurants to be full and the atmosphere and 35,000 tailgaters here, and I want people to see it on TV. That's what I believe in. I don't disagree with anybody. You ask me what I believe in.
You feel like you may have learned more about your team in that setting, against that team?
Yes.
Than you would have?
Same question you asked me last week. Remember, you asked me that, and I told you I thought I would. I'm not being sarcastic. I'm saying, yes, I agree with you, before and after.
It just looks like a better idea now. It turned out okay.
For you. But, again, I'm just – and I guess at some point we kind of have to get over this as a group. I believe in playing in Boone Pickens Stadium. We built a beautiful stadium. There's 60,000 people here. The atmosphere, the environment, the college town, the Friday afternoons – I just think it's better. I just think it's better for Oklahoma State football and the university in general. That's just my opinion. You say, well, you just want to bring a team in here and beat up on them and all that. That's not necessarily true. I just think playing at home is a much better situation for Oklahoma State football. That's just my opinion. Am I glad we won the game? Yes. Am I glad we won playing an SEC team? Yes, now. But I still would rather play at home in this facility and sell and market Oklahoma State University.
Can you talk about how Kip Smith kind of fell into your lap? Obviously, you started off at UCLA, transferred here, wasn't part of the program last year, but now is pumping really well for you on Saturday.
We're fortunate to have him. He did a nice job. He's got a long ways to go, but his kickoffs were good and his punting was good. And you had mentioned to me in preseason, asked me how it was going, and I told you it was going really good and fine. I thought that he would play very well, and up to this point, he has. And so he made contact with us after he stopped playing football on the West Coast, and he's from right up here in Colorado. And we pursued him. I got on the phone with him. Our coaches got on the phone with him once he was free, and recruited him then as a walk-on. And we shared with him that we would give him every opportunity to have a chance to play here. And it worked out good for us, and seems to have worked out good for him as well.
Different type athlete. You had a history of bringing guys back from hip injuries. Rachetti had that devastating hip injury, and from what I hear, this was really bad on this kid.
He had a pretty traumatic injury, and his recovery was slow, but has worked hard, has rehabilitated himself, and even when he got here, there was a little concern, but he seems to be doing well, and we've modified, and he's modified his training. We've tried to limit his capacity of practice reps to keep him fresh throughout the year, and hopefully he'll continue to play the way he did Saturday.
He was a student last year, but not necessarily on the football team.
That's
Is that
correct.
correct? Just because of the injury situation, or more so something else?
You guys are really intelligent, but it's very complicated with 85, 130, Title IX. I mean, it'd take me, I don't even know it. I just know that people tell me it'd take me a long time, and I wasn't very good at math. But if we don't have a player that's eligible, Jimmy, then we don't actually want to count him on our roster, because we'd rather have a guy on here that could be eligible, that could play in the game. And Kip's a great guy and all that, but he doesn't help us much on scout team.
Broken 49-yarder on his first attempt.
Low kick.
Maybe asking a lot for a guy to go out and make a 49-yarder right off the bat.
That's what he signed up for. Low kick. Great kid, great work habits, is going to be just fine. To use a golf term, and I don't play golf, but he was kind of trying, you know how if you don't hit the ball very well, you kind of just try to hit it straight, and then it doesn't work. It does like this because you're trying to hit it straight instead of just swinging. He was just kind of trying to get it through there, and first time out. And so he'll be fine. He'll improve. He'll relax. But that was a low kick.
I assume UTSA doesn't look like a team in its third year of playing football.
They're doing good, John. You know, I think they won 8 games last year, and went on the road last night or a few nights ago and won out there. And you know, we've talked before in recruiting and our principles and philosophies and geographic locations and way to get advantages, and we've always felt like that Central Texas area is a really good spot because there's so many quality players in that area, and there's the kids in that area are very well coached. They're trained, and he's slowly accumulating some of those guys. You know, he's got a quarterback that, you know, threw for 235 or 6 and rushed for 69. And I think the next closest guy on his team that rushed for yards had only 39. So he almost doubled the rusher and was an effective thrower. He's a good player. Looked like to me he's over 200 pounds, probably my height, 6 foot or so. And then they got a little running back, like I say, little number 1, who's kind of a scat back kind of guy that does some returning for him, is a good player. So he's accumulating some players, and you know, Coach Coker's done pretty well. You know, I don't have in front of me what his career record is, but his numbers are pretty good. So I would anticipate that he'll do very well.
What's your relationship with Larry like?
Well, I don't talk to anybody in coaching. I don't even talk to my brother.
What was it like?
Good. You know, as earlier they'd asked me that question kind of, and I'd mentioned that I enjoyed being around him as a player because It was really cut and dry that here's what our approach is, here's what you need to do if they do this, if they do that, you need to do this, and then you need to go play. I enjoyed that. And anything you needed, he'd do it for you. Great family, understands life, good people skills, and that's why he's having success. You know, it's not all about the football aspect of it. He sees the big picture, in my opinion. And looking back now, you know, what would be 30 years, I don't know how long it's been a long time. But I've always enjoyed him.
You don't talk to anybody?
Not really.
I mean, is that by design, or is that just the way the coaching life is?
I mean, I don't know that. I have a lot of really close friends out there, but I don't really talk to them very often. I'm full-time here trying to – we have 130 guys here, and then I go home and I have 3 at home. And it's hard for me to get anything else done.
Mike, Georgia lost a receiver, and they think it happened. He tore an ACL celebrating a touchdown with a chest bump. Is there any talk at all among the staff with your players about being careful when you celebrate touchdowns or anything like that?
No. One, I was unaware of that. 2, no.
I guess I asked that too because you're celebrating 88 team, and everybody knows how Barry, his signature was just to hand the ball
Right.
off to the official.
I think that we're all instilled with a certain demeanor in the way we handle ourselves. I think you can be coached a certain way or another, maybe a little bit, but you really have to be who you are. Some coaches are animated on the sideline, some aren't. Some are somewhat animated in pregame speeches, some aren't. I don't think you can take a guy that's one way and make him another. And I don't think you can take a young man. I talked to Joe Randall for 3 years here about celebrations, and I never accomplished that goal. And my only other option was to set him on the bench, and so I figured that wasn't a good option. So to answer your question, I just think that's kind of a part of who you are, and it's unfortunate that happened, but I don't know that you can change much of that.
Mike, not to harp on injuries, but Zach Robinson was the last quarterback here that ran the ball like JW. He left here pretty banged up. He took a lot of big hits. Just how much of a concern is that with JW, and how do you prevent that?
Well, I think any time that your quarterback's running, you're always concerned about it. And we want JW to be aggressive, and he likes to play with that style of play. Similar to the comment based on the touchdown celebration, JW is wired different than most of us. You know, football at any level, you can go watch Little League practices. I watch little guys practice, my guys. And it's not human nature to want to go hit something with your body and say that's fun. But there are a small percentage of people that are wired that they're okay with that. JW is an aggressive nature style player. And so we want him to make good decisions. And I think if you look at the tape, you guys at times have a hard view of it based on where you're at on the field. You'll see there's times he did protect himself. Different than last year. Last year, every time he had the ball, he just started looking for somebody to run over. Well, this year, in the game the other day, there was 2 or 3 times I saw him step out of bounds or slide after he thought that was the maximum that he could get out of that play.
When you have the quarterback at Oklahoma State and the quarterback at Oklahoma running for 100 yards, over 100, is that a sign that things have changed, or is it too soon to make that assertion?
They bring Barry Switzer out of retirement, sounds like.
They actually ran some, you know.
Oh, they did?
Yeah.
I didn't know that. They ran real option?
Not like fullback belly option, no, but just
Right.
looking at one way and then pitch it out wide, you know, with the option to keep it or pitch it. But is that a sign that you guys thinking, or is it just the way the quarterback position has evolved, or the way the recruiting maybe has evolved, where you landed a couple of mobile
I
quarterbacks?
think there's some of that's true. All those comments could be true. To me, and I've said this a time over and over, we have to take who we think gives us the best chance to win, and we have to build something around them. Because we can draw up Brandon Whedon's offense, and you could throw me out there, and it's not going to look very good. Because I can't throw a 25-yard sail route across the field and hit a guy right in the hands. And you could run some of the option that we ran with JW, and I don't think Whedon would look very good running it. We all know that. So you take, and I said this, I thought my high school coach, and I learned this from him, Coach Evans, he took the players we had, and it changed a little bit and made it successful. And I think that's important with what we do. There's a lot of guys in the country who can get up here and draw plays up, but if you don't have anybody that can execute those particular plays, it's not very good. Scott Verplank tells me all the time in golf. He sees a lot of guys that can shoot upper 60s that play on the weekends, but not very many of them can do it on Sunday in front of the crowd. If they hit a bad shot, mentally they can't get over it in order to hit the next shot. Well, it's the same way with quarterback play. I don't know anything about the guy at Oklahoma. Didn't see any of their highlights, don't know what they did, but I know here at Oklahoma State that we had an approach that we thought was effective for JW and one for Clint, and the one with JW happened to work.
You change your recruiting philosophy at all based on the success that Oregon has with that offense, or Texas A&M, or the way a quarterback scoots around? You don't change. You don't go looking for a mobile quarterback specifically.
We try to find a leader, and then the guy that best fits the team concept and the leader's ability, and that gives us the best chance to win. You know, Oregon's concept is completely different than Texas A&M's, in my opinion. Completely different approach. The guy in A&M makes it look that way because of his ability to escape all the time. I could be wrong, and really probably speaking out of turn here, but I know a lot about their offense because they do a lot of the same things we do. He just makes those plays. He has the uncanny ability to make a play when a lot of times. And so it doesn't change our approach. We want to recruit leaders that are team players that give us the best chance to win, and then we want to build it around those particular players.
Any update on Larry Stevens' knee? Or?
Yeah, Larry's out for the year. Yeah, really a tough deal. But he does have a redshirt year.
Caleb Levy's maybe not the fastest or strongest linebacker you have, but he's made a lot of plays for you in the past 3 years. What's he mean to you?
He was our MVP of the game. I think he had 9 tackles, a couple tackle for losses, and 2 or 3 other things that they keep track on. And he's been a good leader for us. He's we've been very fortunate here that we've always had 2 or 3 guys a year that really fit Oklahoma State football, just a pure Cowboy. You know, Cooper Bassett was that way. And Caleb's got some skill, but he certainly doesn't. He's not going to look like those guys that are playing on Sundays at that particular position. But he does everything we ask him all the time. Yes sir, no sir. Great leadership, and he's tough. And he kind of fits that role of what we've been fortunate to have here, 1 or 2 of those guys every year, because they're really the strength of your program. When times get tough, you have to rely on those guys to bring your team along.
Coach Spencer was telling us a story about J-Dub when he first got here mid-year, how he was just automatically leading the way in conditioning drills and running stadiums and everything. Mm-hmm. Have you seen the leadership? Does it almost look like it comes natural for him?
He's been that way since he showed up, and you know, he's just put together different when it comes to that side of, I guess, life in general. And I don't see that his leadership is any different now than it was when he first got here. He used to run with the fast guys. The quarterbacks usually run in that middle pack, and he would put himself in the fast group. And over a period of 10, 12, 15 sprints, for lack of a better term, as it would go on, he would end up winning them all because his strength and his mental toughness was more so than the guys that were faster than him.
Have you gotten to know his dad well enough to know the similarities between the father-son there?
I know him, but and I actually had a few more conversations with him before he got here, and I tried to not put myself in a position that would make me biased by spending extra time with him because his son played on our team, and in all fairness to everybody that was trying to play quarterback at this school. So a lot of respect for him as a coach, done a great job in his history and background and what he's instilled in JW, but tried to really protect myself from becoming biased and building that relationship, which ultimately, you know, could possibly help us make a decision one way or the other. So I kind of tried to stray away from that. Good? All right.
When you say you don't talk to the coaches, is that year round, or is that just during the season?